Today, we're ranking K-drama romance male leads from best to worst, based on how they actually treat the female lead, and whether they raised our standards or seriously tested our patience. At the very bottom is Tier 5. Respectfully, no. These are the male leads where the red flags repeat, communication stays bad, and loving them feels more exhausting than rewarding. Moving up, we hit Tier 4. He's cute, I guess. The attraction is there, the charm is working, but the effort, consistency, and emotional depth never quite catch up. Next is Tier 3. Fun, but I'm not changing my standards. He's enjoyable. I like him, but I kept waiting for growth that never fully arrived. Then we get to Tier 2. Not perfect, but worth it. These men have flaws, but they learn, take accountability, and show real effort when it matters. And finally, at the top, is where the bar stays met without reminders. Tier 1, this is my husband, Your Honor. Emotionally mature, communicative, and dependable. He shows up every day and makes love feel safe, calm, and intentional. Are you ready? Let's go. Let's begin. First up, Gong Ji-hyuk from Dynamite Kiss, played by Jung Ki-young, the sharp, calm team leader who looks like he has everything under control, and still somehow stresses you out anyway.
한 번 더 할까요?
네?
방금 그거 한 번 더 하자고.
Plot-wise, Dynamite Kiss kicks off like a rom-com speedrun. Ji-hyuk is in Jeju on business, trying to recruit Kim Jong-won for a deal. Go Darim, played by An Yoon-jin, is also in Jeju for her sister's wedding, already emotionally raw and surrounded by reminders of that exact same ex. He arrives in full composed, strategic, Cheeble-coded energy. She arrives carrying unresolved feelings and family tension. Their meet cute? Unhinged. She sees him celebrating near a cliff, assumes he's about to jump, and tackles him to save him. It escalates into a hospital visit. She's tipsy, he's injured, and suddenly they're entangled in chaos before they even know each other's names properly. Then her ex shows up. Panicking, she blurts out that Ji-hyuk is her boyfriend. Instead of correcting her, he immediately plays along because it conveniently gets him closer to Jong-won. He even offers to pay her to continue the fake dating act. At a party, suspicion builds. She kisses him to protect the lie, and instead of brushing it off, he pulls her back in for a real kiss under fireworks. By episode 2, the drama skips the slow burn and jumps straight into intensity. And then she disappears. Her mom is suddenly hospitalized. The debt piles up. Reality crashes in. Survival mode takes over. She leaves while he's in the shower. No goodbye, no explanation, just gone. So when he returns to Seoul, he's not just confused, he's devastated. And then she appears right in front of him again. Only this time, he hears that she's married and has a child. For context, Ji-hyuk leads the Mother TF team at his parents' baby products company. He's competent, disciplined, intensely work-focused. Ironically, the company launches a hiring initiative specifically for mothers, which becomes the exact loophole Darim uses. Drowning in debt and medical bills, she fakes being a married mom, even claiming her childhood friend as her husband, just to secure the job. Now, he believes she's a married woman who cheated on her husband with him. And here's the thing, Ji-hyuk despises adultery. His father cheated on his mother, and that betrayal shaped the way he views relationships. For him, cheating isn't complicated or gray. It's a line you do not cross. So, when Darim vanishes after their night together and later reappears still married, it confirms the worst possible narrative in his mind. Ji-hyuk is written as controlled and analytical. At work, that makes him excellent. In romance, it makes him guarded. When feelings get involved, he defaults to logic and judgment instead of curiosity and softness. Rather than asking first and reacting second, he holds onto his assumptions longer than he should. And that's where the emotional friction really begins. To be fair, her lie is objectively messy. It creates mistrust and puts him in a difficult position. But the drama makes it clear she isn't scheming for fun. She's trying to survive. The tension between them isn't just romantic, it's structural. Workplace hierarchy, personal trauma, pride, and hidden truths are constantly sitting at the table with them. Now, he's not Tier 5. He does try. He mentors her when she struggles instead of letting her fail. He steps in during emergencies. He protects her when situations escalate. He's deeply acts of service coded, giving rides, fixing problems, shielding her from fallout. When something practical needs solving, he handles it. But emotionally, he stays closed off for too long. Even when he's helping, it feels tense instead of safe, like she's constantly trying to prove she's not the villain in his story. He solves problems logistically, but she's still carrying the weight of his suspicion and distance, and that's why he lands in Tier 4. He's cute, I guess. Up next, and I already know this might upset some people, but I genuinely cannot keep pretending otherwise. Lee Young-joon from What's Wrong with Secretary Kim, played by Park Seo-joon opposite Park Min-young as Kim Miso.
대사님이 기다리십니다.
김비서,
네,
나 지금 어때?
완벽하십니다.
Yes, he is iconic. Yes, the drama is funny. Yes, Park Seo-joon's charisma is undeniable. But when I look at him through the lens of standards, real relationship standards, I simply cannot rank him high. And that says a lot, because there are chaebol male leads who have genuinely raised my expectations. So if I'm side-eyeing a wealthy, powerful CEO with every possible advantage, that is entirely on him. The entire plot begins because Miso decides to resign after 9 years of being his secretary. Not because she hates him, not because she is ungrateful, but because she wants a life outside of him. She wants to pursue her own happiness and future. His initial reaction is not pride. It is not calm understanding. It is not even curiosity about what she wants next. It is disbelief and resistance. The drama frames it as though he has loved her from the very first moment he saw her, as if he has always quietly looked out for her in his own way. But if he truly loved her all along, why did it take her resignation for him to finally treat her like a woman with agency instead of a fixture in his office? For nearly a decade, he benefited from her labor. Miso was not just organizing schedules, she was constantly available, emotionally buffering him, anticipating his needs, and managing chaos so he could remain polished and untouchable. If that was love, it was incredibly convenient love. He does not pursue her until he realizes he might lose her. That timing matters. It does not feel like a romantic awakening. It feels like panic over losing comfort and stability. And when she sets a boundary, he does not accept it the first time. He negotiates. He counters with promotions, benefits, adjustments, and new offers. The energy becomes less, "I respect your decision," and more, "How can I convince you to stay?" Even after they begin dating, the power imbalance does not vanish overnight. He is still her boss. His jealousy and possessiveness are often played for comedic effect, but when your partner holds authority over your career, that dynamic is not as harmless as the show wants it to feel. Yes, he has trauma. Yes, the backstory explains parts of his behavior. But explanation is not the same as accountability. Growth does occur, but it comes after Miso has already carried years of emotional and professional weight. And when I compare him to other chaebol leads who respected boundaries early, who chose their partners without ego-driven resistance, and who supported growth without negotiation, he falls short. Entertaining? Absolutely. Memorable? Without question. But in this ranking, he is Tier 5. Respectfully, no. Next, Nam Do-san from Startup, played by Nam Joo-hyuk. And his status as a male lead, it always divides the room.
많이 기다렸지.
Startup follows Do-san, a former math Olympiad prodigy who co-founded Samsung Tech with his two best friends. The talent is undeniable. The problem? The company is barely surviving. He's stuck in that frustrating space of being brilliant but stalled. Enter Seo Dalmi, played by Suzy. Years ago, Dalmi's grandmother asked teenage Han Ji-pyong to write letters to Dalmi under the name Nam Do-san to comfort her. Fast forward to adulthood, Dalmi goes looking for that Do-san. The real Do-san gets pulled into the lie, initially hesitant, but eventually agreeing to pretend to be the letter version of himself. From there, they enter Sandbox, the startup accelerator. We get coding marathons, investor pitches, and the creation of Noongil, the AI app inspired by Dalmi's grandmother's eyesight. Meanwhile, the love triangle between Dosan, Dalmi, and Ji-pyong becomes the emotional backbone of the story. Now, let's talk about why people love him. Dosan is earnest, deeply, genuinely earnest. He is not smooth. He is not manipulative. He is awkward in a very intentional way, brilliant with algorithms, terrible with emotions. When he likes Dalmi, he commits fully. There is no half-hearted energy with him. When he falls hard. But here's why he stays tier 3. He runs on insecurity for a long stretch of the drama. A lot of his decisions feel reactive rather than grounded. When Ji-pyong re-enters the picture, comparison mode kicks in. Jealousy spikes, pride flares. He oscillates between extreme confidence and extreme self-doubt. Instead of steady growth, we get emotional whiplash. And then there's the foundational issue, the letters. Even though he didn't originate the lie alone, he participates in it. The relationship begins with Dalmi believing he is the person who wrote those heartfelt letters. When the truth comes out, she processes it, yes. But for viewers, that identity-based deception lingers. It makes the romance feel slightly unstable at its core. His confidence also leans heavily on external validation, from investors, from success, and especially from Dalmi. When things are going well, he's unstoppable. But when they're not, he spirals. Hard. There are stretches where Dalmi feels less like an equal partner and more like his emotional stabilizer, constantly reassuring him instead of being equally supported. The romance payoff works beautifully for some viewers, but for others, it feels more plot-decided than deeply earned. That's why Team Good Boy became such a powerful movement. Not because Dosan is a bad male lead, not because he doesn't care, but because the emotional satisfaction didn't land the way people expected it to. He grows, he matures, he becomes more grounded by the end, but the insecurity arc stretches just long enough that he never fully shifts into standard-raising territory. That's why Namdo-san stays in tier 3. Lovable, earnest, genuinely trying, but not quite the man who resets the bar. Up next, and I know some of you are already smiling, Kang Tae-moo from Business Proposal, played by Ahn Hyo-seop. And listen, this is how you do a modern CEO male lead without making me call HR.
나한테 프로포즈 하는 거야?
알죠, 나 시간 낭비 싫어하는 거. 나 더 이상 못 헤어질 겠으니까 우리 그만 결혼해요.
Plot-wise, he's the young president of a massive food company who's being forced into blind dates by his grandfather. Shin Hari shows up pretending to be her rich best friend to scare him off. Except Tae-moo is not scared. He proposes a fake engagement instead to get his grandfather off his back, and what starts as a contract situation spirals into office romance chaos, secret identities, and very real feelings. Now here's why he ranks high. Tae-moo is decisive. Once he figures out he likes Hari, he does not drag it out. For 8 episodes pretending he doesn't. No long denial arc, no, I must push you away for your own good. He wants her, so he pursues her, clearly, openly, and with intention. And yes, he's competitive. Yes, he's intense, but he doesn't weaponize his power over her. When he finds out she's his employee, and not the heiress he thought she was, he doesn't punish her, humiliate her, or make her beg. He recalibrates. Fast. He's also emotionally direct in a way that feels refreshing. When jealousy hits, he communicates it. When he's upset, he says it. When he's in love, he says that too. The man does not sit in emotional purgatory. And let's talk about effort. The dates? Planned. The gestures? Thought through. The public acknowledgement? Immediate. He doesn't hide her like a secret scandal. He proudly claims her. That alone separates him from half the CEOs in Dramaland. Now, is he flawless? No. He can be controlling in small ways, especially early on. He likes structure. He likes things his way, and sometimes his I know best tone peeks through. But the key difference? He adjusts, he listens, he softens, he learns quickly. So, where does he land? Kang Tae-moo is tier 2. Not perfect, but worth it. He's confident without being cruel, persistent without being manipulative, and once he commits, he shows up consistently. He doesn't quite hit the calm, steady, lifelong anchor energy of tier 1, but he absolutely raises the standard. And honestly, In the CEO category, he's dangerously close to rewriting the blueprint. Last but absolutely not least, and yes, I know most of you already know where this is going, but I still need to explain why he earns this spot. Now, we're talking about a man who didn't just meet the standard, he permanently altered it. Ri Jong-hyuk from Crash Landing on You, played by Hyun-bin.
내가 당신의 취향에 대해서 잘 모르는 편인가?
내 취향은 리정혁 씨가 제일 잘 알잖아.
당신 취향이 뭔데?
리정혁 씨.
Now, Crash Landing on You centers on Ri Jong-hyuk, a North Korean army officer who's quiet. Disciplined life is disrupted when a South Korean chaebol heiress quite literally crash lands into his territory. Yoon Se-ri falls out of the sky and into his jurisdiction, and instead of turning her in, which would have been the safest and most logical choice, he hides her, he protects her, he rearranges his entire life around keeping her safe. What begins as a matter of survival slowly deepens into a romance that unfolds across borders, political tension, surveillance, and very real life or death stakes. From the very beginning, Jong-hyuk operates in protection mode, but not in a suffocating or controlling way. It is steady, composed, and intentional. He does not panic, he does not posture, he assesses the situation, makes a decision, and follows through. When Se-ri is frightened, he calms her. When she spirals, he grounds her. When danger closes in, he steps forward without hesitation. His strength is quiet, but it is constant. And the most important part, he respects her. Se-ri is bold, dramatic, successful, stubborn, and used to being in control. She is not an easy personality to manage, and he never tries to shrink her to make himself more comfortable. He does not mock her ambition or belittle her independence. Instead, he adjusts. He listens. He allows her to remain fully herself while offering stability beside her, not dominance over her. His love language is consistency. He cooks for her. He stands guard outside her door in the freezing cold. He walks her home. He memorizes her habits. He notices when she is scared, even when she pretends not to be. When he promises to be there, he is there, emotionally and physically. And that physical presence matters because his world is dangerous. And loving her costs him everything: his rank, his reputation, his safety, his future in his own country. He makes those choices fully aware of the consequences. There is no ego-driven delay, no unnecessary pride battle. Once he accepts that he loves her, he commits completely. Even when they are separated, he does not become resentful or reactive. He does not lash out. He does not disappear. He waits. He plans. He works toward a solution, even if that solution is only 2 weeks a year in Switzerland. That is not short-term infatuation. That is long-game devotion. Yes, he gets jealous sometimes, but it never turns into control. Yes, he is reserved, but he is never emotionally unavailable. His restraint feels like maturity, not avoidance. And most importantly, Se-ri never has to question whether she is chosen. That's why he is Tier 1. He makes love feel safe, intentional, and steady, even when the world around them is unstable and unforgiving. Ri Jong-hyuk is Tier 1. This is my husband, Your Honor. And that wraps up the ranking. Do you agree? It's completely fine if you don't, we can debate. But if you're disagreeing about Ri Jong-hyuk, just know I will be respectfully waiting in the comments with evidence. Check out Part 1 in the description box if you missed it, and tell me which K-drama male leads you want me to rank next, because I'm clearly not done stirring the pot. And while you're here, click on this video to check out the upcoming Netflix releases this year. Who knows? We might just meet the next Ri Jong-hyuk level standard setter.